customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DiJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you. What is a day in the life of a customer story? And why is it the best way to increase employees' empathy for customers? Find out on this episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast with John DiJulius. This week, John speaks with customer experience consultant and dean of the Customer Experience Executive Academy, Jess Pischel. Join John and Jess as they share solutions to today's challenges. Did you know you can now rent a friend and a family? Learn about this, as well as how a year of social isolation has hardened us and made us less engaging. Why social media is considered the tobacco company of today. Why the Prime Minister of the UK appointed the world's first Minister of Loneliness. How the best brands address our emotional and social needs, and how to create a day in the life of a customer and customer avatars that will positively change the way your employees handle future interactions. Now here's your host, John DiJulius.
Hello, revolutionaries, and welcome to episode 39 of the Customer Service Revolution. This is John DiJulius, the Chief Revolution Officer. And today, we're going to talk with Jess Pischel, Customer Experience Consultant at the DiJulius Group and Dean of the Customer Experience Executive Academy, about the importance of companies creating a day in the life of a customer story, video, and customer avatars. It's going to be incredible. But first, I want to talk about what's going on. And I just recently wrote a blog called "There's a More Dangerous Pandemic Happening with No Vaccine, with No Cure." I was recently in Florida enjoying a few days of vacation in warm weather. And one of the many things I've always loved about being at a vacation place is how everyone there is relaxed and in a great mood, smiling and saying good morning. Pre-pandemic, it was different than the typical workday, right? When people were rushing throughout their day, not paying attention to one another, let alone acknowledge each other. However, on this trip in March of 21, two things surprised me. One, most people weren't wearing masks, and very few people were making eye contact, and people were not smiling or greeting each other as they walked past. I've never seen that before on a vacation resort before. And this is what a year of social isolation has done to us. It's hardened us. It has made us less engaging. Having spent 12 months, more than 12 months now in social isolation, we almost have to relearn our people skills. Social isolation causes segregation. The less we get out, the more we are only surrounded by people like us. We don't see the homeless veteran or come in contact with the cashier who is a single mom struggling to make ends meet, which means we lose our empathy. Back in the normal world, we were put in these positions to be considerate by letting other drivers in our lane or paying for someone else's coffee. So what is the cost of social isolation? There is a greater pandemic that's been growing for the last decade and having a severe impact on our health. There are many things that contributing to the social isolation besides this current pandemic. Social media is the tobacco company of today. Let me say that again. Social media is the tobacco companies of today. Businesses going all in on convenience at the expense of human interaction is also adding to this. And one of the fastest growing segments in business the last decade have been the gig economy. This rise of the solopreneurs means more people have less interactions with coworkers. As a result of the loneliness pandemic, back in 2018, the Prime Minister of the UK, Theresa May, appointed the world's first minister for loneliness, declaring the hidden epidemic affecting 9 million UK citizens one of the great public health challenges of our time. May was quoted. For far too many people, loneliness is the sad reality of modern life. May went on to say, I want to confront this challenge for our society and for all of us to take action to address the loneliness endured by the elderly, by careers, by those who've lost loved ones, people who have no one to talk to or share their thoughts and experience with. This was in 2018, 2 years before the pandemic. Noted Stanford University's Jamil Zaki, author of The War for Kindness, said chronic social isolation might be something like long-term undernourishment, producing steady adverse needs that wears away at our well-being. You can now rent a friend and family. What's the cost of a friendship? According to the website rentafriend.com, it's about $30 an hour. If you don't want to go to a work event alone, or if you've been dying to go see a concert, back when there were concerts, but have no one to enjoy it with, you now can rent a friend. However, it doesn't stop there. There's a Japanese company that started Rent a Family business. People who are short on relatives can hire a husband, a mother, or a grandson. What does all this mean? We must relearn and reteach people skills. This is not just a result of all the virtual world. Businesses all around are building contactless experiences, drive-through, delivery, self-kiosks, and the digital channels are exploding all around us. However, this emotional detachment has a cost. That cost is brand loyalty from both your customers and employees. The best brands address our emotional and social needs. Strong brands define a brand character that reflects our personal values and our personality. Organizations must not let relationships become mere transactions. Customers will stay loyal to brands that help them make them feel alive. The most successful companies in the world are not characterized by the best products in the world, but by redefining our expectations. Let's face it, most products and services today are of similar quality. Being able to build true sustainable relationships is the biggest competitive advantage in a world where automation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are eliminating millions of jobs and disrupting entire industries, businesses, and careers. In the digital revolution, human interaction, compassion, empathy, and communication skills become a premium advantage. With the increase in the digitization and automation of customer interactions, your employees must be focusing on building relationships with customers. The most memorable customer experiences are the ones where an emotional connection was made, where both the customer and the employee felt something. All right, let's get on with episode 39.
Looking for more innovative customer experience ideas? Join us October 5th and 6th for the Customer Service Revolution Conference. In-person and virtual tickets on sale now. Visit customerservicerevolution.com for more information.
Okay, revolutionaries, episode 39 is about the incredible value of creating a day in the life of your customer, video, story, and the value of creating avatars and personas of your customers. And today, my co-host is Miss Jess Pischel, customer experience consultant with the DiJulius Group and Dean of the Customer Experience Executive Academy. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, John. Thanks.
Tell everyone what you do for the DiJulius Group.
Okay. Yeah. So I am a customer experience consultant with the DiJulius Group. I get to come into an organization and really identify the major areas of opportunities in the customer experience. And then we use our methodology to help them improve whichever areas they need improvement on. So whether that be the service vision statement and it's directly facing with customers, or it's the internal customers that our consulting clients have, and we work on their internal culture and their internal customers improvement and treating each other better. So I get to do both sides of that, the external facing interactions and also those internal as well.
And can you tell our listeners about that you're the Dean of the Customer Experience Executive Academy? What's that?
Yeah, so I kind of get to do something very similar, except it's more of a train the trainer approach. So companies who have someone who's either an emerging leader or already owns the customer experience would come to the Customer Experience Executive Academy, which is quarterly in Cleveland, Ohio, every year. So they would come and they would learn the methodology inside and out so that they can take back all the information that they learned and are fully equipped to lead the customer experience within their own organization. So like I said, it's kind of a train the trainer approach. They get to learn the material in Cleveland and then take it back to their organization and implement it and lead their own teams through these workshops and through the methodology, just like I would do in a consulting engagement.
Awesome. So let's get into today's topic, which is the day in the life of a customer and creating customer avatars. And I love this. And let me first start how this kind of evolved. It had to be about 15 years ago. I was working with a few clients at the time, and they had the same problems going on. So one of them was Price Waterhouse, and the other one was Travel Centers of America, complete different business models. And Price Waterhouse, when I was working with them on their client experience, what I saw was most of their customer client-facing employees were recent college graduates, which I was shocked. It was a ton of, when you'd go into a Price Waterhouse, it felt like a college campus. It was a ton of, 20-year-olds, 20-something and above. And then I found out, they're dealing with CEOs and CFOs of publicly held companies, Fortune 100 companies, and, Jess, as you graduated, 7 years ago, and, that would have been hard for you to know what someone, in their 50s, 60s, the pressures, their direct customers, a lot of cases were 56-year-old executives and just all the pressures. Obviously, a recent college graduate hadn't been in their shoes. And then the same thing was happening when we were working with Travel Centers of America. Travel Centers of America is, one of the largest truck repair companies in the US and Canada. And when we were dealing with them, they were explaining to me that their technicians that would work on the truck driver, over the road truck driver, or what they called their TSA, truck service advisor, which was really the person, a truck driver, when they'd come in and tell them why they were there, they'd basically, schedule and say, all right, you have to wait in line and there's 3 drivers ahead of you, and they try to schedule that. Their technicians and their TSA, truck service advisors, had a lack of empathy because they never were drivers. So this is kind of where the seed was planted. And in both cases, we created a day in the life of a customer video story. It was 100% internal. And it was just for every existing and new employee to watch. And it's, could be 3 to 5 minutes, but it was an aha of, oh my God, this is what my customer is dealing with. And It doesn't mean we change who we hire, but now they have more compassion and empathy. So as you know, Jess, now almost every client, this is one of the first things we do with them is create a day in the life of their customer, which I think, in my opinion, has had, the biggest impact of increasing employees' service aptitude and empathy for their customers. What have you found?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a good reminder too, right? Even if we are an organization that has compassion and empathy, it's just a great reminder and a great tool that you can use and share with your team on an ongoing basis, right? Starting your monthly meetings that way or your quarterly meetings that way. And you're always going to see something a little bit different in the video every time you watch the video, right? Something's going to resonate with you more now than it did when you saw the video last month. So it's just a constant reminder for employees to really have that empathy and compassion, because it's so true. You never know what someone's going through personally or professionally and the highs and lows of it, right? So not only the bad things that happen in their day, but the positive things that happen in their day, celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary, or, just positive things that could be happening in their life too, that are a good reminder that we're all people at the end of the day. And it's a great way to connect.
Yeah. I call those high five moments, right? And a lot of our clients that we come in contact with, and however we're coming in contact with them today via Zoom, in person, in an email, there's a lot of high five moments that if we're not paying attention or not given the opportunity to share, like, hey, Jess, how was your weekend? And you might tell, if you were my client, you might tell me that it was your daughter Peyton's, 8-month birthday, or whatever that may come up. You're in Ryan's anniversary, or you just got back from. And those are high five moments, or they could be. But if we're just transactional, saying, all right, Jess, where we're at, do you have the, answers, what time can we speak next week? You're kind of missing those high five moments and being able to capture the forward, which is so critical to building that emotional connection.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece is that it's that reminder, like you said, that reminder to look for those things and to act upon them, and also walk in our customers' shoes too.
And that's it. You hit it precisely. The real thing from the, day in the life is companies look at from their vantage point, not the customer. And it's teaching the employee to see it from the customer's, vantage point of how hard it was for the business traveler to get to the hotel, from getting up at 4 a.m, rushing to the airport, waiting in line to, go through security, to board a plane, to get off a plane, to get the luggage, to get the the cab or Uber. And you finally arrive and now your room isn't ready and you get pissed off. And to a receptionist at a Marriott or, a Hilton, that might seem like, unrealistic or not unrealistic, but irrational. Like, dude, relax. Like, we had late checkouts or whatever. Now, I always say, if she would have been able to see that business traveler's day in the life and all the struggles that go with, and it doesn't mean it changes that, she could have the room ready, but the way she reacts to it, she could say, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Thomas, what is it that you need? And you might find out that they need, they have a meeting and they need to take a shower to get ready for it, or they have a Zoom call that they wanted to get in their room to have. And we have a business center, we have a spa, so a lot of times you get creative with innovation when you have that compassion and empathy. And as you said, you're more present than just rolling your eyes and thinking that this business traveler's, a surly person who is not nice.
Yeah, it's a good teaching opportunity for your employees, like you said, to be creative, to go above and beyond, to advocate for our customers when we understand their day in the life and what it took for them to get to this point. So our people are more willing to go above and beyond, to go the extra mile, to be creative, to solve the problem when they pick up the phone and in the back of their mind, they're realizing, all right, this isn't just customer A or customer B or just a number in my list of things to do today, but it's a person, they have a story, and I'm willing to, like you said, be present and figure it out, right? Take that ownership and the accountability, because I know everything they've been through, and I'm just willing and ready to serve them in the best way we possibly can.
Yeah. And here's as you know, you got a lot of people that have a lot of stuff going on in pre-pandemic and just in their lives, personally and professionally, a lot of stress. And, if we treat everyone that way, instead of just assuming, whatever we may be assuming. And here's a place I was guilty of it back in the day, 20 years ago, when I was more involved in our first business, John Roberts Spa. I got a voicemail from a client, a very upset client that, said she was a VIP and she comes all the time. And that when she was checking out today, that she forgot a gift card, and she asked if they could look it up and use it. And our person at the front desk of that salon said no. And I was like, I cringe. And number one, as we can't say no. And number two, we can look it up and we could find it. The number, we have records of it. So someone was taking the easy way out. There was a couple other things that she described that she was 100% correct. And she was very upset. And she said, I'm bringing my products back. I bought like $150 of products, and I'm never coming back. And I'm telling everyone I know at work. And she worked at Progressive Insurance, which is headquartered in Cleveland, and is a great base of our customers. So she started, then on the voicemail threatening. I got a little annoyed listening. I'm like, Jesus, you haven't even given me a chance to make it right, and you're kind of doing all this. But I immediately call her back. I'm going to apologize, and try to make it right. And fortunately, I get her voicemail, because I don't think I was in the as good of a frame of mind, because I think she kind of annoyed me with all the threats and that she was going to tell everyone and all this. So I leave her a voicemail and, say, Miss Jones, please give me a call back. I'm really sorry. I'd like to make this right. Then I send off an email to the managers at John Roberts Spa saying, who the hell checked her out? Who said no to, this? Who did this? Who did this? Who did this?
Right.
And within a few minutes, I got several emails back saying, oh my gosh, that's Marie's client. She's been a VIP since the day we opened. And last week, her husband dropped dead. And here I am, kind of a little bit with a chip on my shoulder, thinking, I guess I can understand why she's, in my eyes, overreacting, right? And, thank God it went in that, or she ends up calling me back a little bit later, and I just, let her, give it to me, and agreed with everything and apologized and told her she was 100% right. And I don't know if I would have done it as well. But it's me being a hypocrite, because we have all our businesses, we're dealing with people, and maybe sometimes it's not that severe, but you don't know if they just came from a doctor, or aging parents, or kids getting bullied at school. I think that's what our day in the life stories help our clients realize, and their customer facing employees.
Yeah, I agree. It brings to light some of those situations that we just don't think about, but everyone is going through. And I think your story is spot on with the fact that we handle situations differently when we have this serving as a reminder. So it paints that whole day in the life picture, the good, the bad, the ugly, the highs and lows of that emotional roller coaster of what that customer day in the life looks like. And it's the internal customer as well, though, because you may not directly be serving that direct customer, but internally you work with other teams that serve that direct customer in one way or another. So how are we also treating our team members internally, right? When a report is late and shipping is delayed, and what does that look like, right? It's may not be their fault, but now it's your problem. So it just allows us to have that appreciation for our internal team members as well, because they're going to be a piece of that day in the life video too. So it's both sides.
I agree.
Right?
The best day in the lives include both, because as we always say, your customers who's ever dependent on the work you do. And that could be the client, on the other end of the screen or counter or phone or email, or it could be the person in the cube next to you down the hall or at a location that you're serving inside internally.
Yeah. Representation from both sides, right? Because both parties bring some baggage to the conversation or to the interaction. So you just want to be mindful of that both sides are dealing with things personally and professionally. And this video just puts it all out there. And I've also seen the video used in the hiring process. So once that video is complete and ready to go and your team helps create it, showing that video in the hiring process. And if the person on the other end of the table has no emotional reaction or connection to anything shown in that video, then we realize that, hey, maybe this isn't the right place for that individual. Although they check all of the other boxes, we want to hire people with the service mentality and service-minded culture. We want people to fit our service-minded culture. And a day in the life video is a good way to assess if they do or if they don't. Not only, like I said at the beginning of this, showing the video in the beginning of meetings or at annual events or workshops, but also in the hiring and onboarding process, it's important to show this video then. So the shelf life of the video can be and should be used for many different things.
Yeah. And, our longtime client, the Maids International, taught us that. So to your point, when we started creating this, and we've probably created, a couple hundred by now. And if you haven't seen, we're going to include several links to a day in the life of a customer. So if you haven't seen it, you don't know the power. It could be, 2-3 minutes only, but it'll take you on an emotional roller coaster. And usually, when we show it live for the first time, there's tears, right? And, there's big burly men that, are looking for hugs in the room. And it's funny, but it's always the same reaction, and it's an aha. And we've always thought, when we created it and started creating it, that this is perfect for, showing it to existing employees as often as possible, but definitely showing it to new employees during employee orientation. And it is. And we were right about that. But the Maids International took it a step further. They started showing it, as you said, during the interview process, which it never crossed my mind. And to your point, you'd be going through this interview process and the typical Q&A and back and forth, and maybe it's multiple interviews. And then they'd say, all right, let us show you this quick video, and then we'll get back. And you show this video, that their day in the life of a customer video, as you've seen, is powerful. And then they look at you after, they let you say the next thing. And it's like, wow. Like, oh my God, I want to be part of this. Like, that's exactly what, why I'm interviewing. Or you might have that blank expression like, okay, what's next? And obviously that's really telling that you're looking for a job, or, there's something bigger here that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, I always recommend for my clients to use that video in that way, because it's not necessarily a cheap video to produce. I mean, it can be. We've come up with a few options of how to do this video for budgeting purposes, right? Not everyone has a huge budget or a marketing team or a production team that can just shoot this video and turn it around in a week. Some companies are lucky enough to have that, but not all are. So we want to make sure that once you create the video, you're really using it. You're using it and showing it to everyone often and frequently as a reminder.
Jess, so you've been a part of a lot, and you've helped a lot of clients create them. And I'll say some of my favorites I'll include is like the Chick-fil-A one. That's a sheer, and we're going to include the link to the Chick-fil-A, and it's called Every Customer, Every Person Has a Story. Then that's less than 3 minutes, but have Kleenex next to you. And we're going to include some others. What are some of your favorites that you've either seen or been a part of helping create?
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A one is everyone's favorite. Usually it's pretty powerful. It really tugs on the heartstrings. And they end their day in the life video with the tagline, "Every customer has a story." And the music is powerful. And it's, like you said, a tearjerker, but gets that emotional point really across really well done. Another one that I have been part of the process to help create is an automotive dealership in Michigan, Alcera Auto Plaza. Theirs is really well done. They chose to kind of end their video with their service vision statement. So it's a training video as well. So they end their video with create big impacts through small acts, which is their service vision statement. And they also tied into their video, almost in every clip, there's someone shaking hands. So they wanted to have a big push to getting back to business done with a handshake. Now, this was pre-COVID. I just have to clarify that I don't know if that's still something that they're doing right now, of course, with the current circumstances, but that's captured in their video, right? Getting back to business with the handshake, and they're an automotive dealership. So it just makes sense. So they've incorporated some of their best practices in the video and also use it as a training tool. So if you think of the day in the life video, there's kind of 3 ways you can go about it, like a silver, gold, platinum version, right? The silver version is the most cost effective. It is creating a storyboard using PowerPoint or Keynote. And it's just stock images, and you walk through what that day in the life would look like, and you tell that story.
So you speak to the pictures, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So you create that storyboard and you speak to the pictures and tell that story of that day in the life of a customer. And there's pros and cons to that option, right? The pros are it's cost effective. It doesn't really cost us anything to create a PowerPoint. It's quick turnaround time. But if you tell the story, John, one day, and then I do it the next day, and then 3 years later, our marketing person does it, the story may be received a little bit differently or perceived a little bit differently.
Right. Not everyone's going to tell it as well. And if you have, multiple locations, multiple departments, and I share the story, and then, you can't expect 50 GMs to share it the same way, and someone's going to look at that picture and say, this is a 18-year-old girl who, and not remember what the message was behind, this girl.
Right. Now you could do a voiceover, right? A recording voiceover. So it just plays. And then I guess that would be
text imaging.
Yeah. Yep. If you have a organization that has different, speaks different languages, that may be something to consider too. I'm working with a manufacturing company right now who has just people that speak multiple languages. So they're creating their video, and they have to take that into consideration, as well as I've worked with McDonald's, and they had many different backgrounds working there. So they had to have 2 different versions, right, for different languages. So that's only something that has to be taken into consideration as well. You want the video or the concept to be received the same way, regardless of people's languages. So just have to get that point across a little bit differently. And that's kind of an extra hurdle that those individual companies that I'm working with had to jump through, or just another thing that they had to work through in their creation process. But definitely gets the job done, right? I mean, it explains and talks you through the day in the life. It's just done in a PowerPoint version. So I would consider that kind of like the silver option. The gold option is a step above that. And it's something that we're offering to our clients as a value add, something that we are doing for them and adding to a partnership with them. And so that is a video done with stock images and has the text sliding across the screen.
The music.
So yeah, with music. Yep, of course, with music. And we kind of go through those scenarios and make sure that those stock images fit their day in the life scenarios. And we add the music to the feel, and our clients get a few cracks at different drafts, right? So the working process is about 30 days there, give or take a few, but we like to get that project done in 30 days for our clients and make sure that it paints the picture of the day in the life. And it's that silver version on steroids, right? It's like putting it all together, and it's pretty cost effective for our clients as well. So they're starting to really take us up on that option and are liking it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll include examples. And so some of the best practices when the DiJulius Group helps clients create their day in the life, no matter what version you go, is you kind of have two storylines going. The one is we could almost all share these stories. It's the stresses and things happening in anyone's day-to-day world, whether it's, a patient, a client, a guest, a tenant, you name a coworker, right? We got, our chaos with, getting kids off to school and, dealing with aging parents and children and teenagers and, medical situations and the positives as well, anniversaries and proposals and big celebrations and all that. So you kind of intertwine those. And then the second piece that you want intertwined is how your expertise, what you do, your company does can, come to the rescue, if you will. So whatever business it is, it's that you need an escape from your day, that if it's B2B, that they're struggling keeping clients or keeping employees. And that's why they're hiring you and your company to help improve their morale or help improve their customer experience or get them back on the road, with the truck repair so they can get all their deliveries done and get home at a decent hour. So it helps. The two parts really, teach all of us to be more present and not treat them as next, our 1030 or whatever we may categorize them. And also how important our expertise is to their success of their day. So when you're helping clients, Jess, what sort of things do you work with them to start storyboarding?
Yeah, great question. So at the end of the day, this video is typically only 2 to 3 minutes in length. And so we have a lot to capture in just 2 to 3 minutes, right? When you think about it, it's not that long. So we want to make sure that we're very strategic about the scenarios that we include. So it starts with a brainstorming session about who we need to include in the video. So we look at customer personas, or what we call them customer avatars, but you don't have to start from scratch here. Many organizations already have their customer personas identified, and you may not even realize it, but marketing probably has these, right? Who are they marketing to? Usually they have their customer categories.
So Jess, let me ask you, what if I'm listening and I don't know what personas or avatars are, why do you need them, right? Like, so you talked about that you work with McDonald's. All right, so they have a customer that comes in and wants food quickly and drinks. And, besides their 3 touch points, meaning drive through, carry out, or, dine in, why do we need different types of customers? They all want the same thing, don't they?
Yeah, so they're all there for the same reason, because they're hungry and they need food quickly. From a McDonald's standpoint, I mean, when you go to McDonald's, you need your coffee or your Coke or your beverage or your sandwich and fries. You want it quickly, right? You're in a hurry usually, but that's not everyone. They broke down their customer persona or customer avatars into several different categories. So they have their families, right? People come in with their family and they have kids and they want the Happy Meal and the toy and all of that goes with it. It's an experience for them.
So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, Jess. If I have, and you know this, and you're going to know this in a few years, Peyton, your daughter, is only 8 months today, actually, I saw on Facebook with her 8 donuts. Yeah, so Peyton might be in 2 years screaming at home or in the back seat. She's hungry and she only wants McDonald's or fries or the shake or whatever. And so that's different than if and you're going to talk about the other segments, what you need from McDonald's. And, if I'm serving you, if I'm a crew member, I need to read that situation differently than the other segments. So what are the other segments?
Yeah, so they broke theirs into 4 different categories. They have the families, which we just talked about. They have the senior citizens that come in. they have the students come in. So actually the chain of McDonald's that I was working with, 16 McDonald's located in Columbus, Ohio, which is home of the Ohio State University. So they have a big student customer persona category there that they serve. And then finally, they have business professionals. So they have families, senior citizens, students, and business professionals. Now, of course, there's others, right? There's the single mom or the single dad, or there's middle age, just one single person or a couple. So they have others, but we just narrowed it down to the 4 primary categories they serve. And of course, there are others, right? But we wanted to make it simple for the crew members because there are different ways we serve these different individuals. So like you said, a family wants something different than perhaps the business professionals, right? The family needs interaction from those crew members. They need someone to engage those kids, to offer deals or promotions, to have check-ins to the table. They need engagement, right? The kids want to be engaged with. Whereas that business professional, the crew members needs to realize that they need to serve them differently. Their interaction is going to look different, right? They just need that quick, genuine greeting and closing. They need that hot coffee and fresh order to be correct because maybe they're in there on their lunch break and they only have 30 minutes. They got to get back to the office, or they're on their way into the office and they need that hot coffee before they get there. So you serve them differently, right? And same for the senior citizens. You're going to serve them differently from the family or the student, right? The interaction is going to look different. Maybe you hand deliver their coffee to their table and you open the door for them upon entry and exit to the building, and you care for them as if you're family. They want to be engaged with, right? They're going to have their coffee and sit in their same spot every morning, and they're going to take advantage of those refills.
They want to be recognized. They want you to remember that they, what they drink. They don't want to tell you every morning, versus the stressed out mom who's trying to appease a emotional child may not necessarily want the long, engagement. She wants to get it and go and get back and get her child back to, school or wherever. And so she can get to work. So it's reading those situations. A couple other good ones. Back to our first business, the salon. Same thing. It's a high-end salon. And so we have, professional women that can afford us and don't blink at our prices and come, a couple times a week, weekly manicure, weekly blow dry, a full head highlight with a facial, $200-$300, doesn't disrupt their budget. But then we also have clients that, will save up, that they will quit smoking or eating out at work every day at lunch so they can afford to come to John Roberts Spa, once or twice a year for that big thing, or they'll ask their spouse or parents for the holidays or for their birthday to get them that day of pampering. And that's their trip. And they have to we want to treat everyone nice, but we have to realize that, that their trip to Paris is that 1 hour this year. And it's a fragile, important experience versus the woman that's a regular that's here, once or twice a week. And so, it's really important. And then, we B2B. Let's talk about like the DiJulius Group. We have 3 primary avatars. Do you want to discuss what ours are like?
Yeah. So when I serve my clients, I have typically 3 individuals that I work with or work for, I should say. So I have the CEO or the president of the organization, and how I communicate with that individual is different than how I communicate with the other 2 that I'm going to describe in just a moment. But he or she, as the CEO, they don't need to know all the weeds, right? They don't need to be in the weekly phone calls.
Bottom line me.
Yep, they certainly can be, right? But they just want to know, what's the return on their investment here?
Exactly.
How are they
you got to speak their language, and they're less about warm and fuzzy, and they want to know that this was the right investment because they have to go to their board and shareholders and justify this. And they have a completely different set of concerns and needs than your other two avatar customer in that same business?
Yeah, so the other two would be the champion, the project champion, and then the project lead. So the project champion is likely the person who chose to hire us, maybe did the research on the consulting firm that they were going to hire, and they need similar with the CEO, right? They need to make sure that the ROI is there, the return on their investment, that they're getting the results, and that the project is successful. So they need a little bit more detail than the CEO would need, but not as much detail as the project lead needs. So that project lead usually reports to the project champion. Sometimes there's some gray area, right? Sometimes the project lead is the project champion, just depends on the company, but usually it's those three categories for me. It's the CEO, the project champion, and the project lead. And now the project lead is the one that I'll be having the weekly phone calls with. We're working through the details. They need examples of what this have looked like from other clients. They need guidance. They need to look good. They need to my job is done when they get the promotion, right? They've done so well with this project rollout and implementation that they get promoted. That is how I know I really did my job well.
And same with if there is a executive champion, the project champion, the middle person, they need to look good to the CEO. And that, it's a lot of times they will have talked the CEO and CFO into this project. And if the project's not successful, if the KPIs haven't moved in a positive way, they look bad. And so to your point, all three have different needs, concerns, things that keep them up at night. And as a consultant, you need to know, and you do so well, you might be talking to the project champion saying, hey, your project lead is great. Here's some things that she may need from you, and, more support, more clarity this way. And then you're always helping that project lead look good and strong and be more prepared, because that project lead has to go make presentations to her bosses or his bosses. And, you have to help them prepare for that. So, that's what the beauty of avatars is it really helps anyone in a customer facing position better understand what each different segment of their customers need and what's keeping them up at night. And I think that's what you really help, do firsthand, but also help your clients, realize, which then goes in finding out that information and how would they react? How would their boss feel? What's keeping them up at night? Those are the things that help build the story of a day in the life of a customer video.
Yeah. And then one piece that I think we also need to touch on is the fact that internal customer should be represented here as well. And I most commonly see this occur with B2B clients like you're referring to now. And what does that internal customer look like? So that would be at the DiJulius Group, that would be my fourth if I had a fourth. So I'd have the CEO, the project champion, the project lead, and then internal, right? Because I rely on our people at the DiJulius Group, those behind the scenes individuals that make us look good as consultants and as keynote speakers, right? They're the ones who make sure everything's in place and have the documents ready when I need them, and they're available for me when I need them. And so they're also my customer too. So I have to be aware of what their day in the life looks like as well. And I love when they're captured in the videos because they're such an important piece of the puzzle, and the role that they play helps hold everything together in our organization. They're kind of the behind the scenes people that make our customer service so great.
Yeah. And every business has those invisible service providers that are so critical to the successful delivery of a great customer experience. So yeah, I love this. I love the day in the life of a customer. I love the avatars that you guys work so hard on. And we're going to include a PDF of an avatar. It's a bunch of questions on how you can create your customer avatars, which then can go into teaching exactly what we're saying, the different types of customers, their different needs. Some people, like you said, don't need a lot of information, want chop, and other people, types of customers need more information to make a better decision or to present it to their internal customers. But There's very few things that I think have a more powerful impact on everyone's service aptitude, from the CEO to the newest hire, than creating a great day in the life of a customer and really making everyone realize how they need to be present intentionally each and every time with their customers. Any final thoughts on the day in the life or avatars, Jess?
No, I think that once you watch the videos that are going to be provided in the links here, you'll see the difference in how different companies structure their day in the life. And there's not one right or wrong way to do it. It has to resonate with your people. So all of them have a little bit of a different feel to them, perhaps. But the one thing is they're all about the same length, and they all really get those emotional points across. So it's just depends on how you want yours to look and what's going to work best for you. So there's no one way to do it, but we've seen it be a very, very successful portion of the project when companies do decide to invest in this video.
All right. Well, thank you, Jess Pischel, Customer Experience Consultant and the Dean of the Customer Executive Academy with the DiJulius Group. Thank you, Revolutionaries, for listening to episode 39 of the Customer Service Revolution, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to and being part of the Customer Service Revolution. To hear more episodes, subscribe now on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We love feedback and look forward to your reviews, likes, and emails. Join John live at this year's Customer Service Revolution. Tickets available at customerservicerevolution.com.